You know, right now as you're watching this, there's a secret war being waged inside your body. It's this microscopic, invisible battle that's happening inside all of us, all the time, as we get older. It's a silent story being written in our very own DNA.
But what if we could actually read that story? I mean, really read it. What if we could find the earliest, faintest signs of trouble, spotting something like cancer years, maybe even decades before it ever becomes a real threat? Well, that incredible possibility, that's exactly what we're diving into.
All right, so to really get this, we first need to step onto the battlefield. And that battlefield is our own body's tissues.
Think about it this way. Every single time one of our cells divides, it has to copy its entire DNA playbook. It's a massive job. And just like someone copying a huge book by hand, sometimes it makes little mistakes. Over the course of a lifetime, our DNA picks up millions of these tiny typos.
In the world of science, these typos have a name. They're called somatic mutations. Now that word somatic is super important here. It just means these changes happen in our body's cells during our life. We don't inherit them from our parents. They're unique to us, part of our own story.
Now look, most of these mutations are totally harmless. The cell might fix them, or they happen in a part of the DNA that doesn't really do much. But every now and then, a mutation gives a cell a tiny advantage. It lets it divide just a little bit faster than its neighbors. And when that happens, it creates a tiny, microscopic clone of itself, which is the very first invisible step on that long road to cancer.
And this was the huge hurdle for scientists for so long. These clones are incredibly small and unbelievably rare. It's like trying to find one misspelled word in an entire library full of books. With the technology they had, it was pretty much impossible.
But what if you had a new kind of magnifying glass? I mean, a tool so powerful it could read every single letter in every single one of those books with almost perfect accuracy.
Well, that tool has a name. It's called NanoSeq. It's this revolutionary new way of reading DNA. And what makes it such a big deal is its single-molecule sensitivity. It can basically zoom in on one strand of DNA at a time and spot even the tiniest little change. So just how accurate are we talking? Get this. NanoSeq makes fewer than 5 mistakes for every billion letters of DNA it reads. That level of precision is, and I'm not exaggerating, an absolute game changer. And here's why that matters so much. Older, standard methods have much higher error rates. That means they might see a mutation, but they can't be sure if it's a real typo or just a mistake they made while reading. They miss the earliest clues. NanoSeq, with its crazy low error rate, just cuts through all that noise. It can spot the real, potentially dangerous clones with a ton of confidence. So, okay, armed with this powerful new lens, scientists could finally start mapping that genetic battlefield inside our cells with a level of detail that was just science fiction a few years ago. So what did they do? Researchers took this new tech and applied it to over 1,400 samples, mostly non-invasive things like simple cheek swabs, plus some blood samples. They were basically peering into the DNA of these totally normal, healthy tissues to see what was really going on under the surface. And what they found, honestly, it was staggering. They didn't just find a few mutations here and there. They identified more than 62,000 specific driver mutations. That's the kind that can actually push a cell to start forming one of those clones. The sheer scale of this internal war was just so much bigger than anyone had realized. So, what did all this incredible data actually tell us? Well, a few huge things. First, there's a constant genetic tug-of-war going on. They found 46 specific genes that are always being mutated in our mouth tissue, but at the same time, they saw that other, really essential genes are somehow being actively protected from these changes. And maybe the biggest takeaway, our lifestyle choices literally write themselves into our DNA. They found crystal clear links between these mutations and things like age, smoking, and drinking alcohol. Okay, so this is all incredibly fascinating science, right? But it's way more than that. This opens up an entirely new frontier for medicine and for prevention. What this technology really does is give us a brand new roadmap. For the very first time, we can map the first molecular steps of how cancer even begins. That means we can start creating new, super targeted ways to prevent it. And it helps us finally understand the deep role these mutations play not just in cancer, but in aging and a whole host of other diseases too. You know, the researchers themselves put it best. They said this tech is a powerful new tool. It's not just about finding the mutations, it's about understanding the whole story, from the very first spark of cancer
all the way to the bigger picture of aging itself.
And that brings us to this really powerful final thought. What we're looking at here is a future where a simple, painless cheek swab could tell us the entire secret history of ourselves. A test that wouldn't just tell us about our past, but could, maybe, predict our future health and give us the power to actually change the outcome.